You wake slowly, not because you are rested, but because your back is screaming. A dull ache spreads across your spine, like a stone quietly grinding into your bones. The straw mattress under you is more mold than straw, pressed into years of use, and the dust and faint smell of mildew rise when you shift. Your wife and children share this small bed with you. Something warm, furry, and unnamed is pressed beside them. Perhaps a rat, perhaps a squirrel. You don't care. Warmth is precious. Outside, the wind groans. Pigs grunt somewhere beyond the wall. The dripping roof keeps time like a cruel, patient clock. Plink, plink, plink. You sit up carefully, mindful of the tin bowl beside you. Ice schemes the surface, breaking it with your fingers. The cold stings your skin, a brutal promise that the day has begun. You pull on your tunic, the same one from yesterday and the day before. It smells faintly of smoke and earth, patched in places with fabric that has seen years of life. A rope serves as a belt. The leather one broke last season. Your bare feet meet the cold, hard earth. Shoes once existed, but the soles cracked, the leather hardened. Now there are only your feet and the dirt beneath them. Winter bites, but survival takes priority. Your home is one room. No walls divide life from labor. The average medieval peasant shares every corner with family and livestock. A goat may sleep near the door, offering warmth and quiet companionship. Chickens peck for spilled grain, clucking softly as they wander through the small space. A bench, a stool, a single iron pot. The furnishings are modest, functional. Each item has purpose. Each item bears the weight of repeated use. Privacy is a memory. Luxury is unknown. Life is measured in chores, and survival is the rhythm that pulses through every action. Stepping outside, the cold strikes your skin, sharp and immediate. The ground beneath your bare feet is frozen, rough with mud and frost. Beyond your cottage, the village slumbers, smoke from other homes curling lazily into the gray sky. Fields await the touch of hands hardened by seasons, hands that know cold as an old companion. Each day begins the same, a quiet endurance of elements, hunger, and the labor that keeps life flowing. Breath fogs in the air, visible proof that life persists even under hardship. Your day begins with labor, what must be gathered, fuel for warmth, for cooking, for life itself. The forest is quiet. The frost crunches beneath your feet. Each branch lifted, each log carried is a reminder of the delicate balance between survival and exhaustion. Birds watch silently from above, and crows call in distant trees. There is no rush. The rhythm is slow, deliberate. Work is not a choice, it is necessity. And necessity knows no fatigue. Back in your home, the hearth demands attention. Twigs are arranged carefully, logs stacked to coax life from dormant embers. Smoke curls upward to a roof that fails to contain it, and ashes scatter across the dirt floor. Slowly, a fragile warmth spreads, chasing away the chill. The children stir, comforted by the growing heat. Life in this room is fragile and beautiful in its simplicity. The hearth is a heart, and tending it is the act of sustaining everything that matters. Fields await, frosted soil resists your efforts, but you press on. The plow moves slowly, dragged by a goat that seems as tired as you are. Each furrow cut is laborious, each breath visible in the cold morning air. Other villagers, the landscape, distant silhouettes committed to the same endless cycle. Life is measured in these efforts, the planting and tending that promise harvests only if the seasons are kind. Survival is never guaranteed, and yet every day begins with hope and work. By midday, the body demands rest. You sit on a patch of straw, the taste of coarse bread and crumbly cheese grounding you. Sunlight sneaks through patched windows, brushing your shoulders with warmth. There's quiet, fleeting, in this small pause. Even as hunger lingers and work waits beyond the door, this moment is yours. Each bite, each slow breath, reminds you that life persists in spite of hardship, and the world, though harsh, continues on indifferent but steady. Evening descends, painting the sky amber. Tasks continue. Vegetables gathered are distributed among the livestock. Repairs are made where clay and straw have failed. Each motion is deliberate, necessary. The sun dips. Shadows stretch long across the fields, and your body aches with labor. Yet there is a quiet pride in survival, in work done with care. Each repair, each chore is a promise that tomorrow will come, that life, no matter how harsh, will continue. Night falls, bringing a fragile calm. Your family huddles under blankets, the hearth casting gentle warmth across the room. Outside, stars peek through the gaps in the roof, distant and eternal. You sit quietly, reflecting on the day, the work, the hardships, the small victories, the cold, the ache, the hunger, all softened by the warmth of those you love. Life is simple, relentless, and beautiful in its persistence. And now, with darkness around you, you can rest, if only for a moment, before the cycle begins again. The child has a fever that won't break. You've tried everything. Garlic prayers, scraps of holy cloth tied to her wrist. Nothing helps. You don't speak of it. Words seem powerless. Your oldest son, barely 10, tend to fire outside. His cough is faint, but it is there. You take a crust of bread from the flat board table, dipping it in leftover water to soften it. It doesn't help, but you chew anyway. This bread is barley, rye, maybe peas or sawdust, baked once a week. You glance at the small wooden saint on the wall. Latin words leave your lips, not understood, but sacred in their sound. The rooster crows beyond your yard. You stretch your aching back. Inhale the damp, smoky air and prepare for another day of labor. Without fire, there is no warmth, no cooking, no hope of boiling lice from your clothing. You grasp your dull hatchet and trudge to the woodpile. The Lord's forest is forbidden, but fallen branches are tolerated if the steward isn't watching. Mud clings to your feet, slippery and unrelenting. Paths are grooves worn by cartwheels and hoes, churned into a gray slurry. You slip once, curse quietly, careful not to wake the baby. Beyond the small cottage, you gnaw at Edric. No words are needed. Both of you know this day already, because it's been lived 100 times before. Meanwhile, the king awakens slowly, not because of cold, pain, or noise, but because he can. His bed is enormous, draped in velvet, lined with furs. The sheets whisper against his skin. Goose down cradles him. He does not open his eyes. Warmth already surrounds him, maintained by a servant who tends a fire through the night. Logs burn sweetly, birch, cedar. A gentle knock. Another. The door opens. One servant with warm water, another with a robe, a third with a towel, a fourth with slippers. Each bows in sequence, precise, deliberate, like the movement of a clock. Rising is a ceremony, a politics of care. Each motion is deliberate. Warm water for washing, robes folded with care, slippers placed just so. The king's world is one of precision, routine, and comfort, where every gesture serves a purpose. The fire's sweet scent mingles with beeswax and polished stone. Here, warmth is constant, never earned, only received. The ritual of rising is not simple. It is a choreography of power and privilege. Outside these walls, the world may hunger or shiver, but within, everything exists to serve the king. While the king is bathed in comfort, you toil. Your hands grip rough tools, turning frozen soil, coaxing life from stubborn earth. Pigs grunt, chickens peck at frozen grain. The neighbors' cottages rise from the morning mist. Each day is measured by labor, each breath by survival. There is no ceremony here, no comfort beyond what you can wrest from the land. And yet, life pulses in small victories. A furrow turned, a pig fed, a loaf baked. The village oven is both lifeline and ritual. You carry a small basket of dough, bake perhaps once a week, share among all who can afford a turn. Smoke curls from the stone oven, warm and fragrant. Other villagers stand silently, waiting, as tired hands and hopeful hearts meet the rhythm of bread making. Here, survival is a shared effort, measured not in luxury, but in the warmth and sustenance of the hearth. Evening returns, and with it, another round of labor. Baskets of vegetables, firewood for the night. The sky is amber and rose, shadows stretching across the frozen mud. Livestock huddle near the cottage, seeking warmth and shelter. Your body aches, but there is a quiet satisfaction in work done well. Life may be hard, unrelenting, and frigid, yet in tending your small corner of the world, you assert control over what you can. The king is now fully awake, seated and attended. Courtiers enter with letters, petitions, and messages from the realm. Scribes write diligently, their quills scratching across parchment. A page offers wine or tea, carefully poured. Servants remain ready, anticipating every need before it arises. Life in the palace is orchestrated, seamless, a constant flow of service that allows power to flourish unchallenged. Here, every breath, every movement, every sip is effortless because others bear the weight of work. Night creeps over the village. You gather your family around a low fire, warm, fragile, but present. The baby rests. Older children sit close, bodies weary from the day's labor. Meal scraps sit beside you, a hard loaf softened by effort. Some small morsels from yesterday. The wind rattles patched windows. Outside, the night is cold and deep. Inside, there is warmth, shelter, a fragile victory. The day has been survived. As the king reviews plans, settling into quiet reflection in a chamber warmed and bright. The peasant family sleeps in their humble cottage, hearts and hands weary from survival. Outside, moonlight bathes the village, casting soft shadows across frozen mud and simple cottages. Silence reigns, broken only by wind through thatched roofs. Two lives worlds apart, yet both shaped by routine, labor, and the quiet persistence of existence. Tonight, sleep comes as reward, a pause before the cycle begins again. Who speaks first? Who touches the king's garments? Protocol is everything. It reaffirms a natural order. The king stretches. A servant pulls back the curtains. Sunlight pours in, filtered through stained glass in blues and reds, splashing color across the polished stone floor. He yawns, swings his legs over the bed, but they never touch the ground. Slippers are slid on before he moves. The robe drapes over his shoulders without effort. Water, warm and perfumed with rose oil, is held before him. A towel follows as he pats his face dry. Every gesture precise, every servant aware of their role. This is not convenience. It is order, ritual, and power. The king examines himself in a silver mirror. Not bad, he thinks, perhaps a touch pale. Servants trim his beard, comb his hair, massage balm into his hands. Another lays out garments, a doublet embroidered with gold, hose dyed deep green, a cloak lined with fur. These are not just clothes, they are symbols. Pigments from saffron, woad, and other costly plants signal wealth, status, and power. Every hue is deliberate, every thread a message. While he dresses, breakfast aromas drift in. Fresh bread, honeyed figs, sausages, eggs. Something sweet, something savory. The day has begun, but his world is still calm, orderly, and entirely predictable. Breakfast is a ceremony. The king may hear poetry, music, or scripture while he eats. Guests may arrive or not. Messages from stewards, bishops, and nobles await his attention. Yet he can set them aside. Outside the palace walls, the world churns in labor and hardship. Inside, warmth, abundance, and calm reign. Bells ring the hour, a sound faint and pleasant, untroubling. He takes a sip of wine. The morning stretches lazily, measured by comfort rather than necessity. In this world, even nourishment is art, not survival. For the peasant, breakfast is not a ceremony. It is a concession, a brief pause between waking and working, a small comfort carved from survival. The fire flickers as you stir embers, water steaming in a clay pot balanced on stones. Wooden bowl in hand, chipped at the lip, you ladle gray, lumpy porridge, barley, oats, water, a pinch of salt when you can afford it. No milk, no sweet figs, no sausage. Bread is hard, coarse, a mix of barley, rye, or whatever can be ground into flour. White wheat bread is a miracle reserved for the noble. Each bite is sustenance, not indulgence. You feed your family, one bowl at a time. The baby reaches with tiny hands. The toddler gnaws a piece of bread. Air smells of damp straw, ash, and unwashed wool. The fire barely warms, yet your hands hover near it, stealing back what warmth you can. Survival is measured in small victories. Each scoop fed, each mouth nourished. This is the rhythm of your morning. Work begins even as hunger lingers. Life is fragile, hard-earned, and relentless. Once breakfast is finished, the day begins. You trudge barefoot into mud, hatchet in hand. Fallen branches become firewood. Roof thatch needs patching. Fences repaired. The pig waits, hungrily sniffing the ground. Frost clings to fields. Smoke rises from neighbors' chimneys. Each task is essential, measured in time and labor. There is no pause, no ceremony, only the rhythm of survival. Each day is the same as the last, yet it demands everything you can give. Meanwhile, the king sits in calm abundance, lute strings plucked softly, wine at hand, breakfast largely forgotten. Courtiers whisper nearby, messages await, but the world beyond his walls is distant, untroubling. Light spills across tapestries of ancestors and hunts. Each hour is measured in comfort, not toil. Every moment is tended for him. Power cushions life in warmth, abundance, and ritual, while beyond the palace gates, labor continues unceasingly. Labor never ceases. Fields must be scraped, soil coaxed from frost, pigs and chickens fed. Children assist where they can, learning the rhythm of toil. Neighbors nod across muddy paths, a quiet acknowledgement of shared struggle. Smoke curls from other cottages, signaling warmth and survival. The day is long, repetitive, but life persists in each motion, each furrow, each small task. Survival is measured in persistence, not wealth. Midday arrives and the king reclines. Poetry drifts softly, petitions await attention. Sunlight warms polished stone floors. Birds sing faintly outside windows. Comfort and order pervade. There is no urgency, no hunger, no chill. Life is measured by art, ceremony, and controlled time. The king's day unfolds gently, each motion curated, each sound carefully orchestrated. Power shapes even the morning into ease. Midday offers a fleeting pause. You rest beside the fire pit, hands grimy, sweat and cold mixing, breath clouds in the air. Children sit near, watching, learning, waiting. Frost melts slowly on paths worn by carts and hooves. This pause is brief but necessary. Small victories, small comforts. Heat in hands, momentary relief, the promise of survival through the afternoon's labors. Life continues, measured in perseverance and the quiet satisfaction of work done. The loaf is dense, heavy, days old. You dip it into the porridge, soften enough to bite without breaking a tooth, and chew with patience. Most peasants began their day like this. Breakfast wasn't a word then. It was a continuation of last night's sustenance. Your children sit near, coughing softly, rubbing sleep from their eyes. One eats with both hands. The other stares into the bowl. You urge them to eat slowly, not because more will come, but to stretch the illusion. Your wife drinks thin, bitter ale, safer than water from the stream, which is a habit of killing chickens and children alike. Sometimes there is meat or fat scraped from a barrel. Today there is none. Outside, Edgar coughs. He has chickens. You have none. A soft knock interrupts. A barefoot, muddy child asks for herbs for her sister. Half a heel of bread changes hands. The sun climbs. Frost melts. Breakfast is over. Work begins. At the same hour, breakfast begins in a palace 50 meters, yet universes away. Here, it is not necessity but display. Silk sheets, sweet smoke from a fire that never dies. A steward announces the meal, those scents have already done their work. The king enters a solar bathed in sunlight, tall windows spilling light over painted walls and hand-woven Moorish rugs. The table is set with silver platters, enamel bowls, knives polished to mirrors. No dish touches the table before being tasted by a food taster. The threat of poison is ever present. Even breakfast is a demonstration of power. The bread is manchet, soft and white, sifted from the finest wheat flour, prized for purity. Figs glisten with honey, sausage is spiced, cheeses aged and delicate. Pastries rest on silver platters, folded cloth napkins beside them. Servants stand patiently, waiting for the king's signal. Every item signals wealth. Every aroma hints at access, at privilege, at unearned comfort. Here, breakfast is a performance. Each bite, each sip, a reminder that abundance can be displayed as art, while the world beyond the palace continues its grind of survival. Meanwhile, the children help. One carries water in a small bucket, Another gathers sticks of fire, the youngest tending to a piglet. Paths are muddy, frost melting slowly under the weak winter sun. Parents watch briefly, then return to their labor. The day is relentless, each task necessary. Morning is a bridge between survival and exhaustion, a quiet endurance of cold, hunger, and repetition. Each motion matters. Each small act of care ensures life continues. The king tastes honeyed figs, sips wine, listens to the soft pluck of a lute. Sunlight dances across tapestries, depicting hunts, battles, ancestors in gold thread. Servants hover nearby, ready to respond to the slightest need. Breakfast is measured not by hunger, but by ritual, comfort, and display. Time stretches like liquid gold. Outside the palace walls, winter frost grips fields and cottages. Inside, warmth and abundance soften the edges of the day. After breakfast, work continues. The roof leaks, so you patch the thatch. Fence slumps, so it is repaired. The pig grunts for food, and fallen branches must be gathered before the cold sun rises fully. Frost melts slowly, but winter's bite remains in your hands and face. Paths intersect, neighbors nod silently. No words are needed. Survival has a rhythm, and you know it by heart. Labor is constant, yet small victories punctuate the day. A repaired fence, a fire kept alive, a pig fed, a child laughing at a small success. Back in the palace, messages arrive. Letters from nobles, news from boarders, requests from the bishop. Courtiers wait quietly. Guards stand at doorways, alert but unobtrusive. The king listens, waves the messages aside, and allows others to be read aloud. Power is quiet, deliberate, every action measured. Outside, servants continue tending fires and food. The king's world is one of control, abundance, and calm authority. A stark contrast to labor's unceasing demands in the village beyond the walls. The day wears on. Hands grip a small plow. Frost melts slowly beneath your feet. Children carry water, feed animals, learning each motion by doing. Smoke curls from cottages, signaling warmth, life, and survival. Birds scratch for grain. Work is relentless, measured not by comfort, but by necessity. Yet in the monotony, there is rhythm. Survival is not glamorous, but it is real. Each breath of cold air, each task accomplished, is a small triumph against hardship. While labor grips the village, the king reclines. A harp whispers through the morning, or poetry softens the air. Servants refill goblets without needing instruction. Sunlight warms painted walls and polished floors. A scribe brings letters, waiting for a signal. Time is measured in comfort, in art, in controlled moments. The king watches, listens, tastes, and sips. His world is curated, predictable, and secure. A stark contrast to the cold, demanding, unpredictable rhythm of the peasant's day. And so, the morning unfolds in two worlds, separated by distance, by circumstance, by power. In the palace, warmth, abundance, and ceremony mark each hour. Every need is anticipated, every motion attended. In the village, frost melts slowly under bare hands. Labor continues unceasingly, and survival depends on effort, cunning, and endurance. Two lives, two rhythms, two realities. One world measures time and comfort. The other measures it in survival, and both will continue, parallel and unconnected, until day yields to night once more. Only the upper class can afford the fine milling and careful processing that turns ordinary grain into pale, delicate mancha bread. Poached eggs from palace hens, spiced sausages of venison and boar, figs imported from Iberia or the Holy Land, honeycomb dripping over rich cheeses, all laid before the king. He eats slowly, not because he must, but because he can. Attendants hover, a soft lute plays. The steward reads aloud petitions, disputes, and reports. The king tastes, sips gold-tinged wine, but hunger does not drive him. Each dish is a symbol, a demonstration of wealth and status, orchestrated with precision. The peasant scrapes the last grain from his bowl and drinks weak ale. Children nudge each other, sleepy, coughing, waiting for the day to begin. Fire embers glow faintly, struggling to push back the cold. Outside, frost slowly recedes under the pale sun. Breakfast is over, not because the hunger is sated, but because the moment has passed. Each bite was survival. Each swallow a small victory against winter and want. He bites a slice of pear poached in cinnamon, sips tea lightly scented with herbs, nibbles roasted partridge. Servant stepped back at his signal. His greyhound rests his feet, ears stroked absently. Breakfast is complete, not because hunger dictated it, but because the ritual has run its course. Every taste, every gesture, communicates wealth, power, and authority. Outside these walls, life struggles on in frost and mud, but within, abundance cushions existence. One meal sustains a peasant, roughly 1,500 to 2,000 calories in total, mostly bread and pottage. The king consumes closer to 4,000, each bite unearned, each swallow unhurried. One body burns energy continuously, the other burns little beyond digestion. Gout, a disease of excess and inactivity, waits for those with too much, while hunger gnaws at the rest. Yet neither truly triumphs. The peasant walks forward, body aching, yet alive. The king moves through leisure, well-fed, yet bored. Hunger and fullness are opposite forces under the same rising sun. You reach for your tunic, not because it is clean or new, but because it is all you own. Wardrobes are luxury. Peasants often possess one garment, maybe two. Yours is rough-spun wool, coarse enough to scratch skin raw. Color is a dull blend of mud and straw. Sleeves are patched again. It is the same for work and sleep. Survival determines clothing, not fashion. Each garment carries the weight of labor, wear, and necessity. Tunic adjusted, belt tied, tools checked. Mud grips bare feet. Smoke curls from neighbors' cottages, marking warmth and survival. Children follow, carrying water, gathering sticks, helping as they can. Each step, each motion is preparation. The day will demand everything. Winter cold bites, labor strains. Yet each act sustains life. Survival is measured in repetition, endurance, and small victories carved from frost and mud. Meanwhile, the king reclines, tasting the morning slowly. Music drifts from a lute in the corner. Courtiers whisper petitions. Scribes await instructions. Light spills across polished floors. Gilded threads on tapestries glinting. Servants adjust cushions, refill goblets. Here, time moves at will. Each moment is curated, deliberate. Luxury cushions life, allowing attention to the world without necessity. Outside palace walls, survival continues, but within, comfort reigns supreme. Labor begins in earnest. Frost yields slowly to weak sunlight. Hands grip small plow, hoe, or rake. Children feed animals, help as they can. Smoke rises from cottages, curling into the sky. Birds scratch for grain. Work is relentless, dictated by need. There is no pause, no ceremony, only rhythm and repetition. Survival is measured in output, effort, and endurance. Each motion is essential. Each breath is fuel for tomorrow's continuation of the same. The king's day unfolds by design. Stewards read reports, petitions, disputes, and news from distant borders. Attendants stand poised, ready to respond. Sunlight warms tapestries and rugs. Lute music drifts softly. Decisions are weighed, gestures observed, power exercised without effort. Every hour is orchestrated, curated, and unhurried. Hunger is absent. Cold is absent. Labor is absent. Yet the world beyond palace walls continues, indifferent to ritual and display. Two mornings unfold under the same sun. One body aches from hunger and cold, another from excess and idleness. One moves through mud and frost, feeding animals, tending tools, enduring labor. The other reclines amidst warmth and abundance, attended at every gesture. Both rise from their meals, neither fully satisfied. One eats for survival, the other for ceremony. One exists within necessity, the other within power. And yet, both share the rhythm of a day begun, set under the same rising light. It was once pale brown, but years of labor, smoke, and sweat have darkened it into anonymity. Sleeves uneven, one frayed, the other patched from your wife's dress. No one notices. No one cares. Underneath, the linen shirt, soft and proper, is torn from last week's labor. Wool keeps out the cold, linen does not. Your clothes are survival, not fashion. Each stitch, patch, or fray is a reminder of scarcity, a quiet testament to endurance. Dressing is layering misery onto flesh, a shield just thick enough to face the world. Hose are long woolen tubes, tied at the knee, sagging at the ankle. One has a hole in the heel. Stitching seems less important than getting through the next day. Shoes, if you're lucky, are old leather or crude wooden clogs. Rope serves as a belt, a looped, scratchy truth around your waist. No buttons, no zippers, luxury centuries away. Each knot, toggle, and patch is a reminder constraint. Clothing is necessity, protection, and a small dignity carved from hardship. Your wife wears the same rough wool, sleeves rolled up, working even as you dress. Children are in hand-me-downs, patched until they resemble scarecrows. The baby swaddled in rags, hole patched with another scrap. Dressing is not transformation. It is armor, small, thin, and inadequate, against a cold, demanding world. Yet even this modest layer is necessary. To go out naked would be worse than the discomfort of scratchy wool. Lice and fleas are constant companions. You brush something off and decide not to look too closely. Sumptuary laws restricted what peasants could wear, but you could not have offended them anyway. Fine dyes, purple, scarlet, gold, are impossible to afford. Gold thread is a dream you have never seen. Clothing is functionality, warmth, and survival, not fashion. Each garment carries labor, sweat, and the quiet burden of existence. Layers complete: tunic, hose, clogs, rope belt. Children stretch, preparing for chores. Your wife is already at work, tending the fire and tasks. The day begins. Clothing is not adornment. It is survival. Each layer protects against frost, mud, and the gaze of the world. It is armor, meager and scratchy, but sufficient. You step outside, facing cold and labor, fully aware that comfort is a luxury you cannot afford. In the castle, garments await long before the king opens his eyes. Linens first, soft, bleached, finely woven flax. Only nobles can afford such luxury. Each piece is warmed by the fire, every thread inspected. Pages and valets attend quietly. Nothing touches the king's skin before comfort is ensured. Here, dressing is ritual, preparation, and indulgence, comfort orchestrated into perfection. The king is dressed not for work, but for display. Undergarments first, doublets, hose, furs, and robes follow. Each piece is inspected, warmed, and arranged. Gloves, cloaks, and accessories await. Comfort is guaranteed. Every gesture communicates authority. Dressing is ritualized, almost ceremonial, a contrast to the peasant, for whom every garment carries weight, labor, and necessity. Outside, the day begins in earnest. Wooden clogs crunch on frozen mud. Children follow, carrying small bundles. Smoke rises from neighboring cottages. Frost melts under pale sunlight. Every step is effort. Each breath carries cold into lungs. Survival is immediate, visible in mud-streaked feet, scraped hands, and frozen noses. Clothing offers protection, but only enough to meet the day's demands. The king begins his day in solar warmth. Sunlight illuminates robes and gold embroidery. Attendants wait silently. Lute music plays softly in the corner. Pages and stewards bring reports, petitions, and news. Comfort cushions his attention. Power shapes his gestures. Every motion is deliberate, every need anticipated. Labor, cold, hunger, all absent. Luxury guides a day, every element orchestrated for ease and display. Two worlds, two mornings, two ways of wearing life itself. One dresses to survive, layering rough wool and patched hose against cold and labor. One dresses to display, silk, linen, furs warmed and arranged by attendants. One will feel the bite of mud, frost, and endless toil. The other will feel only comfort, warmth, and ritualized ease. Both are clothed for their worlds, yet neither finds true satisfaction. One armor, one indulgence, both shapes of. The peasants grow the flax. The king wears it. First, a long-sleeved shirt, smooth, almost weightless, faintly scented with lavender tucked in the folds by hands you will never know. Over it, snug woolen hose dyed a deep blue, expensive produce, reserved for those of means. Each movement is precise. Each fold is arranged. Unlike the peasant, he wears not for need, but for the display of wealth and power embedded in thread. Next comes a doublet, padded and tailored, buttoned with polished horn or bone. Each button marks craftsmanship, a symbol sewn into the seams. Unlike the peasant, buttons are choice, not necessity. Over this, a velvet cloak, rich burgundy, lined with fur, drapes over shoulders, intended to avoid dust. Each layer separates the king from the world, a silent announcement of hierarchy sewn, buttoned and layered thread by thread. Soft leather boots, shaped to perfection, never touching mud, support his stride. A silk sash wraps his waist, embroidered with the emblem of his house. Threads imported from Byzantium, traveled through distant lands at great expense. He barely notices the cost. Luxury, in every detail, cushions him, distinguishes him, separates him. Clothing is not warmth, it is authority, inscribed into fiber, wool, silk, and fur. Jewelry is optional, yet customary. Rings, brooches, and a light circlet signal sanctity and status. While attendants discuss weather, visitors, and grain prices, the king is busy being dressed. Each thread, clasp, and adornment communicates power. Dressing becomes performance, ritual, and declaration. One man dresses for survival, one for perception. Thread by thread, distinction is sewn, buttons polished, fur fluffed, silk smoothed. You step outside. Cold, it's like a slap. Door swings on tired hinges. Frost clings to frozen ruts. Old straw crunches beneath your clogs. Chickens peck lazily near the woodpile, one limps. Breath clouds in front of you. The pale smear of dawn touches the horizon. No clock is needed. Your bones keep time. The day will demand every ounce of endurance, every muscle and joint, from sunrise to dusk. Frozen mud paths and smoke mark the village morning. Roosters crow elsewhere. Children stir, beginning their small tasks. Chickens scratch at straw. Your eyes scan what must be done. Feeding animals, stacking firewood, mending fences. Each observation is a mental checklist. Time is measured in chores, effort, and necessity. Survival is dictated by labor, not by sunlight clocks or ceremony. You check the chickens, noting the limp that will likely go untreated. The pig snuffles in frozen mud. Tools lie at the ready. Each motion is purposeful, measured, and required. There is no time for leisure. Frost still bites, and work is already calling. Survival depends on attention, endurance, and small acts of care repeated daily. Each animal, each tool, each step carries weight beyond mere routine. Clothed in velvet, silk, and fur, the king moves through the hall. Robes trail behind him. Hands are ringed, boots spotless. Attendants follow silently. Courtiers bow, heads lowered. The performance of authority is as precise as the threads that cover him. Clothing communicates, separates, elevates. Every detail, from buttons to fur lining, signals hierarchy. Power is stitched into fabric, worn openly for all to see. Your tools must be gathered. Hatchet, spade, kindling for fire. Children lift what they can. Mud clings to your feet. Breath clouds in front of your face. The cold reminds you that nothing is optional. Every movement, every action is necessity. Survival demands repetition, endurance, and constant vigilance. Warmth, food, and protection are never guaranteed. They are claimed through labor. 2 mornings unfold under the same pale sun. One man moves through frost, mud, and labor, clothing worn, patched, survival-driven. The other glides in velvet, silk, and fur, adorned, warmed, and served. One faces effort and cold, the other comfort and ceremony. Both are clothed, both are men. Yet only one feels the weight of necessity, while the other wears a performance of power. The world is stitched in threads, some for survival, others for display. There's no time. Your day begins not with a plan, but a list of obligations stacked like firewood. Uneven, unstable, always about to topple. First, the animals. The pig roots through compost with weary eyes, knowing it is likely next on the menu if winter doesn't ease. You refill the trough with turnip skins, leaves, and hardened porridge. Its vigor mocks your own. The firewood pile is low. Axe in hand, you trudge the grove, each step heavier than the last. You harvest from the same grove all winter, each day venturing a little farther. Branches break under the axe, bark splinters, damp twigs scrape hands. Every swing feels heavier than the last. Bundles are carried on your back. No sled, no cart, no mule. Half the pile is stacked near the door. It will not last a week. Sweat and frost mingle on your face, evidence of survival measured in labor and endurance. Water must be fetched. 2 buckets in hand, you move toward the stream. Ice slicks betray your footing. Knee slams into mud. A bucket spills. You curse quietly and do not refill it. The water is clearer than it should be. A bad sign for fish and frogs. You draw it up, silent. Survival is measured not by comfort, but by what you can carry, lift, and protect for those who depend on you. Back at the hut, your wife spins wool at the hearth. Children huddle near for warmth. Watch your fingers work the spindle. The baby cries. You change into a working tunic, one with fewer holes near the knees, and wrap a cloth around your head. There is no pause, no rest. Labor awaits, and it is not yours for choice but obligation. Every motion is preparation for a day dictated by necessity. The mile to the Lord's land is walked slowly, shoulders hunched, hands tucked in sleeves against the cold. Others walk beside you. Men you know, men you do not speak to. Conversation is a luxury for those with energy. You save breath for labor. Each step is calculated, measured, a march toward obligation. The road is as unyielding as the day ahead. Duty is muck spreading. The stench is overwhelming. You breathe through your mouth, shovel slowly, methodically, spreading dung across frozen soil. This is not for yourself. It is corvée labor, feudal obligation. The Lord's fertility is your daily task. Your own feel neglected in the process. Complaining would invite starvation. Survival is measured in obedience and endurance, not reward. The medieval system demands your labor in service of another. Work on the Lord's land. Tend to the soil. Follow the routine without question. Conversation is rare. Energy can serve for effort. Frost bites at exposed skin. Mud clings to boots. Hands blister. Every movement is measured against endurance. There is no reward today. Perhaps a nod or a handful of grain if the Lord is generous. Protest invites hunger. Silence ensures survival. By midday, your hands are raw. Legs tremble. Behind a tree, relief comes in silence. Leaves serve as paper. The cold air stings. Your stomach growls. Children rest, watching quietly. Tools lie heavy in your hands. Each step, each breath is labor-intensive. The day's progress is slow, measuring survival, not accomplishment. Each pause is fleeting, every effort required, unrelenting. Lunch is modest, carried in a cloth bundle. A crust of bread, a clove of garlic, a slice of dried turnip. Each bite taken slowly, stretched for sustenance. Children mimic your eating quietly, conserving energy. Hunger is constant, meals meager. Every morsel is precious. Survival is measured by the ability to endure, to consume enough to continue laboring, to last until the next day. After lunch, the work continues. Hands raw, backs aching, the cold biting less sharply as the sun dips lower. Villagers work in silence, rhythmical movements marking the passage of hours. Each shovel, each swing, each bundle of soil laid to survival, labor owed, and obligation fulfilled. The day is a relentless cycle, measured in effort, frost, mud, and the faint hope that enough is done to see tomorrow. You chew slowly, seated on a rock. The Lord's reeve rides by, boots polished, posture proud. Your knees are stained with filth, your fingers stiff from labor. Lunch is small, hurried, a pause in a day that demands more work. Every bite is measured, every swallow a brief relief. There is no rest. Survival is ongoing, dictated by frost, animals, and obligation. The world outside the cottage waits patiently for your labor. You rise, back aching, and return to field. Children follow silently, shadows and frost-tinged light. Hands blistered, tools heavy. Each step forward a testament to endurance. The sky is pale, the frost persistent, the wind sharp. You bend to the soil, shovel, and carry, knowing there will be no applause, no acknowledgement. Labor is silent. It is survival, and it is endless. You shovel dung across frozen soil. The stench is overpowering, yet necessary. Other villagers work beside you, silent, each movement deliberate, rhythmical. Fertility for the Lord, survival for you. Every shovel, every lift, every motion is accounted for in endurance. Your own land suffers neglect while the Lord's wealth flourishes. Obedience is survival. Protest is starvation. From your perch, you watch the reissue orders. Hands wave, voices bark commands. Others respond with effort, not complaint. The cold wind whips dust and straw across your path. The reeve, agent of the Lord, enforces hierarchy. Your labor exists under scrutiny, measured by another's authority. One man wields power, the other bends beneath it. Both roles are fixed, determined at birth, maintained by custom, law, and necessity. Meanwhile, the king begins his day in the great hall. Sunlight pours through tall windows, colored glass casting patterns across polished floors. Fragrant herbs mask the presence of too many bodies. A scribe stands ready with a scroll. The steward bows low. This is the stage where authority is performed. Every gesture, every nod, every sip of wine is watched, noted, and interpreted. Power exists here in perception as much as in decree. A noble family petitions for a new mill. Advisors argue, gestures sharp, voices low but insistent. The king listens, nods minimally, allows them to tire themselves. Decisions are often deferred, not from indecision, but because presence itself asserts authority. The crown holds more power as symbol than as sword. His gaze, a single gesture, directs the current of discussion, unseen yet absolute. Grievances arrive in sequence. Taxes are too high, roads impossible. Bandits stalk the woods. The king nods occasionally, his mind elsewhere. Lunch, a hunting party, correspondence. These occupy more than the endless complaints. Yet his presence validates each concern. Authority, like a lens, magnifies influence even when action is delayed. The king's day is measured not by labor, but by the appearance of control. A messenger reports border unrest. The baron late, peasants refusing work. The king considers, weighs delegates. A priest delivers a letter from the bishop. Heresy in southern shires, unrest from wandering preachers. His gaze, slight gesture, signals authority. Action is not always immediate. Delegation ensures both obedience and distance. Even kings maneuver through politics, church, and custom, balancing perception against reality. The court is alive with ritual. A jester's joke, a minstrel's ballad, a steward counting feast expenses. The king half listens, smirks, and the room responds. Performance and attention are instruments of control. Luxury is choreographed. Authority is enacted in every laugh, every polite bow, every gesture. Presence alone enforces hierarchy, marking him apart from those who labor without acknowledgement. By midday, the world presents two faces. One man shovels manure, his back bent, hands raw, his labor survival-driven. The other shuffles papers, signs scrolls, listens, and directs from velvet and silk. One owes everything and earns nothing. The other owns everything and earns nothing. Both play their roles in a kingdom structured by obligation, hierarchy, and ritual. Labor differs, but weight is universal, physical, social, and symbolic. One cannot rest, the other cannot hide. You wake already unclean. There is no scent of soap, no warm water. Dirt lives with you, in your nails, on your skin, in your clothes, in your food. A bucket of gray water waits in the corner. Splashing on your face stings with cold, tightening the skin, awakening the body but not cleansing it. Soap is rare, reserved for linens, saints' days, or fleeting luxury. Cleanliness is a ritual of endurance, not comfort. Weeks ago, your wife used the last soap to wash linens before a feast. Her hands blistered from the coarse mixture of lye and animal fat. Soap is precious and rare. Its sting is the price of temporary cleanliness. You wipe your hands on your tunic, already dirt-stained from firewood, ash, and animal traces. It is futile. Smell clings to skin. Sweat, smoke, wool, and labor mark your body as unmistakably human and unprotected from elements. You pick at dirt under your nails, a pointless ritual. Your feet are cracked, knuckles chapped, rash on your leg unhealed. The cold and friction of worn hose make it worse each day. Hygiene is not comfort. It is survival. Water is cold, scarce, and labor-intensive to fetch. A splash on the face and hands is a ritual you can afford, a meager illusion of renewal in a world dominated by toil and exposure. Your wife combs the children's hair with her fingers. Lice are crushed silently, no words, no complaint. The baby is swaddled in patched rags, holes sewn hastily with scraps of cloth. Dirt and pests are companions, uninvited but ever present. Cleanliness is improvisation, endurance, and vigilance, not ritual. Each day, the cycle repeats, a test of patience, skill, and fortitude in a harsh, unyielding environment. The toilet is a pit behind the hut, half covered with old planks. In winter, it freezes. Squatting carefully, you face danger from both frost and collapse. Public latrines overflow in nearby towns. Chamber pots emptied into streets. Hygiene is improvisation, discretion, and endurance. Each step, each action, is measured against survival. Rituals of cleanliness exist in theory, but reality is compromise and resilience. Bathing is rare. You splash water from a bucket, gray, reuse, bitterly cold, onto hands and face. The air chills your skin instantly. Full baths occur once a year at best, more often in summer. Firewood is precious. Water is scarce. Comfort is a luxury you cannot afford. Survival dictates hygiene. Quick, cold, minimal. Each splash marks a fragile victory against unrelenting grime. Tooth care is improvised. A mint sprig may refresh breath. Ash or cloth may scrub enamel. Most lose teeth before 40. Your children watch silently, copying actions without understanding. Hygiene is survival-focused, ritualistic only insofar as it prevents infection or disease. The body is a battleground. Skin, nails, teeth, hair, all daily casualties in a fight for health. In larger towns, latrines overflow. Waste is flung from windows with shouted warnings, and pedestrians dodge. You've witnessed it. Survival is navigating the filth, managing proximity to disease. Hygiene is vigilance, discretion, and improvisation. Every step through the village carries risk. Every splash of gray water at home is a small victory. Rashes worsen, pests persist. Fingers scratch, eyes water, patience thins. Your wife manages the children, controlling lice, smoothing rags. The baby fusses, blankets are ragged. Exposure is constant, cold, pests, filth, disease. Hygiene is a daily negotiation with environment, body, and circumstance. Few survive without scars, some visible, some hidden deep beneath skin and bone. Survival is ritual. Cold water splashes, hands wiped on tunic, children observing, world moving without pause. You awake, unclean, laboring, eating, breathing, enduring. Hygiene is improvised, fleeting, measured by what sustains life, not comfort. Dirt, sweat, smoke, and wool are constants. One cannot rest, the other cannot hide. You live in endurance, ritual, and resilience, bound to the demands of life in medieval Europe. You run your tongue along your gums and feel a wiggle. Blood comes again. The village healer suggested nettle tea. It didn't help. She also recommended sleeping with a toad under your pillow. You didn't. Disease is constant. Boils, fevers, persistent coughs. Last week, a neighbor's son died, fever and vomiting. You check the baby's forehead. Warm, not burning. Your wife says nothing, but you see the fear. People carry dried herbs to ward off bad air. The priest preaches punishment. The healer cites the weather. You say nothing. Survival is persistence, not understanding. You dunk your head in the water trough to rinse hair. It does not help. The smell of sweat, smoke, and labor clings. Dirt is a second skin. Yet you go on, because there is no alternative. Life is endurance. Survival is constant adaptation. Every splash of water, every herbal poultice, every prayer is a small ritual, a tiny rebellion against the inevitability of disease and fatigue. The king wakes not to filth, but to fragrance. Herbs, thyme, rosemary, lavender, are scattered across polished stone floors. They mask odor and ward off illness. A servant dips a cloth into warm water, wrings it carefully, and wipes the king's face and neck. Another dabs his hands. Clean smells signify health, status, and divinity. Here, water comes to him. He need not fetch, carry, or risk frostbite. Bathing is choice, not necessity. The bath arrives at his convenience. Linen sheets line the tub. Heated water is poured from brass pitchers. Olive oil soap, imported from Castile, lavishes the skin without sting. His body is pampered, rubbed with cloths of fine linen, hair brushed with boar bristle, nails trimmed and examined. Royal hygiene is not mere comfort. It is an extension of health, prestige, and godliness. The king's physicians, trained in Paris or Salerno, manage the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Balance is key. He has been bled, advised on diet, movement, and air exposure. Cleanliness is medicine. Regimen sanitas dictates every motion. Moderate food, gentle exercise, rest, and proper ventilation. The body is tended like a garden, pruned and nourished. Even teeth are tended. A cloth dipped in wine or vinegar, occasionally ash or crush herbs, removes plaque. Pain-free, precise, ritualized. The king's body is polished, prepared, maintained. Hygiene is authority, a symbol of elevated life. Disease is a managed risk, not an ever-present threat. Every garment, every layer communicates power. Linen beneath wool, velvet draped over fur, rings on fingers, silk sashes. The king's body is a statement of status, health, and divine favor. Unlike the peasant, he need not hide wounds, dirt, or filth. Everything about him announces care, order, and authority. One body endures the world. The other is protected from it. One survives in cold, gray water. The other luxuriates in heated, scented waters. Both awaken to the same sun, but their mornings are galaxies apart. Survival versus display. Endurance versus ritual. Dirt versus curated cleanliness. Disease is constant for one. Fever, cough, risk of death. Guesswork with herbs and superstition. For the other, disease is studied, measured, and prevented. Physicians manage risk with knowledge, herbs, and ritual. The king can afford to treat minor discomforts. The peasant cannot afford to pause. Life and death are never abstract for him. You rinse, wipe, endure. The baby fusses. Work waits. Survival is ritualized repetition, filth tolerated, disease persistent. The king steps from his bath, polished and fragrant, robes in order, ready to govern, to be seen. Both awaken, both live under the same sun. One body survives the world, the other commands it. One is tended by necessity, the other by ceremony. One persists, the other prevails, though neither is free from the demands of life. The king rinses with sage-infused water. Bad breath, the doctor says, may signal internal decay. He listens, even if tedious, even if he feels no threat. Illness is never far, yet when it strikes, care is immediate. Leeches, tinctures in silver pots, prayers, and ministrations abound. 5 men attend him when he coughs. During outbreaks, he retreats. Countryside, coast, anywhere but the city, the poor die outside the gates. Letters bring news of villages disappearing, yet he dines uninterrupted. Cleanliness is visible, scented, symbolic, managed by others. The peasant scrapes mud from his heels with a stick. The king scrapes dirt from nails with ivory. One smells of animals, ash and labor, the other of citrus and rose water. One body is raw from cold water and coarse wool, the other cradled in steam and silk. Yet both bleed when cut, both scar, both fall when plague strikes. Death does not care for soap, ritual, or status. Both are mortal, bound by flesh, and equally vulnerable in the end. Leisure is alien for the peasant. It exists only in pauses, moments where body aches too much to move and mind drifts. Boredom and pain intermingle. Yet even here there is ingenuity. Stories pass by firelight. Tales of saints, demons, dragons, kings long dead are recounted with wide eyes and deliberate pauses. Sense matters little. Escape matters everything. These tales offer distraction, a temporary reprieve from relentless labor and gnawing hunger. Stories are survival. Oral tradition binds generations. Saints, demons, dragons, heroes, and fools tangle in fantastical narratives. Morality tales mingle with nonsense. Each word drawn slowly, pauses stretched, eyes widened. The goal is not comprehension, but immersion. Hunger fades for a while. The world outside, harsh and unforgiving, recedes as imagination takes hold. Song accompanies toil, not melodies of cathedrals, but sharp, rhythmic chants. Lyrics simple, memorable, sometimes lewd, names of neighbors woven in. Singing is utilitarian. Time passes faster. Effort becomes bearable. Work becomes ritualized rhythm. Entertainment is survival. Humor and song knit the village together, even amidst misery and exhaustion. Feasts punctuate endless labor. The church calendar dictates structure. Feast days, saints' days, holy days. These are sanctioned pauses. During St. Martin, the villagers roast meat they can spare, gather, dance, drink, and pretend a year's weight is lighter. Celebration is brief, fragile, but necessary. Moments like this keep hope alive in the harsh rhythm of peasant life. Meanwhile, the king's day is structured by routine, observation, and performance. Letters arrive, news of foreign lords, trade disputes, distant plagues. He reads, dictates responses, and monitors court affairs. His body is clean, his mind engaged in oversight rather than survival. Symbolic gestures mark his authority. His leisure is administration, diplomacy, and ritualized activity. Even risk is managed. Illness is never ignored. Physicians measure, prescribe, and predict. Remedies are plentiful, environments controlled. Exposure minimized. Cleanliness is preventive. A bath, scented water, careful diet, and attentive attendance reduce threats. Disease is a controlled variable, not a constant terror. The peasant finds brief joy in play, storytelling, and song. Leisure is communal, improvised, earned. The king experiences leisure as expectation, seated with wine, entertained by music or poetry, his body cradled by luxury. One is spontaneous, one orchestrated. Both provide relief, but through entirely different means. Despite wealth, dirt, or labor, all succumb. Both bodies bleed, scar, succumb to plague, to fever, to age. Mortality is the great equalizer. Death does not care for soap, silk, or story. The peasant scrapes mud from heels. The king scrapes nails with ivory. Both will face the same end. One survives by labor, the other by care, but neither outruns fate. You once saw a pig's head carried on a platter, its eyes replaced with onions. Children dance around it, laughing. Someone juggled turnips, and the smell of roasting meat mixed with ale. You drank too much and vomited behind the church, and somehow it felt like the best night of the year. Festivals are rare but vivid, a few hours where hunger and labor dissolve into laughter, firelight, and song. Ale dulls the edges of reality. Neighbors exchange clumsy jokes, and even the simplest efforts feel like magic. In these moments, survival is temporarily forgotten. Games exist, too. No boards, no tokens, only rocks, sticks, and imagination. You played catch the goose, chase a terrified bird across a field. Laughter ringing over frozen mud. Men test strength, lifting logs, wrestling for pride and scratches. Sometimes traveling performers arrive. A juggler, puppet shows, a monkey performing tricks. You watch, penniless, standing in the mud for an hour, captivated by the illusion of skill and daring. Even brief entertainment restores a sense of humanity. Ale is social medicine. Weak, cloudy, sour, brewed in unclean barrels, drunk from unwashed mugs. It dulls the edge. On good nights, you sit with neighbors, listening to poorly told jokes. Laughter comes not from humor but effort, a shared rebellion against monotony. Drunkenness is expected, normalized, sanctioned by feasts, tolerated by priests, practiced quietly yet collectively. For a few fleeting hours, life is more than survival. It is community, absurdity, and joy. For the king, entertainment is institutional, a manifestation of power. Minstrels performing the solar, fingers plucking chords carefully composed to soothe or flatter. The melodies are professional, rehearsed, copied by scribes. The king listens, eyes closed at times, not from appreciation, but boredom. At a gesture, a wave of the hand, the music ceases. The performers bow and retreat. Pleasure is commanded. Leisure is orchestrated, and even amusement is an extension of authority. Later, the king strolls in the gardens. These are not wild hedgerows like those outside a peasant hut. Every herb, topiary, and fountain is curated, sculpted, imported, arranged to remind him and anyone observing of order, of control. This space is a stage, reflecting his power, a living portrait dominion over nature. Here, leisure is pedagogy, an education in hierarchy, taste, and mastery of the world. He plays chess with a visiting noble. The board is inlaid with ivory and lapis. The piece is hand-carved. The game is slow, half conversation, half test of intellect and etiquette. Victory is expected. The noble plays along, understanding the performative nature of every move. Here, every leisure activity doubles as a demonstration of intelligence, control, and dominance. Pleasure is inseparable from protocol. In the afternoon, he hunts, not for sustenance, but for spectacle and skill demonstration. Royal hunts are rehearsed rituals, signaling authority and strength. Dogs, attendants, and well-trained horses move under his command. Every aspect, speed, direction, quarry, and capture, is orchestrated to reflect order and dominance. Entertainment, politics, and display converge into one choreographed affair. Meanwhile, the peasant labors. The afternoon brings no spectacle, no choice, only the unyielding rhythm of survival. Frozen fields demand tending. Livestock must be fed, dung spread, and crops cared for. Each swing of the hoe, each step through icy mud, is dictated by need. Work is a currency of survival, and the day offers no indulgence. Each movement wears down the body. Each breath reminds him of toil unbroken since dawn. Even within hardship, the village thrives in small ways. Observation becomes entertainment. Watching neighbors, listening to distant laughter, children chasing each other, pigs rooting. These fragments of life offer perspective, a reminder that even in poverty, humanity endures. Community provides brief relief from labor, but the underlying grind never stops. Survival frames every moment, and leisure is improvised, fleeting, and communal. Evening arrives. One table is silver, gold, wine, and ceremony. The king dines leisurely, attended, savoring abundance. The other table is clay, wood, bread, and porridge. The peasant eats for sustenance, for survival. One moves within a world of performance, the other within necessity. Both share the passage of time, yet their days could not be more different. Yet both rest beneath the same sky, their labor and privilege shaping lives on a sun that touches all equally. It's not about feeding the court, it's theater. He mounts a horse bred for speed and stamina, leather doublet snug, gloves stitched with his crest. Hawks perch on his fists, hounds run ahead. Peasants drive the deer through the forest, shouting and stomping. The king raises his bow. Hit or miss, the record will reflect a great shot. Each arrow is both skill and performance, a testament to status, power, and control. By the end, a feast awaits for roasted whole, wine flowing freely, a display of abundance, not survival. The king's court is never quiet. Jesters, acrobats, storytellers, magicians perform to amuse and impress. A single misstep could end a career, or worse. Success might bring wealth, patronage, or favor. The king applauds, eyes tracing performers, approval mandated rather than earned. Entertainment is constant, yet often boring. Performance, protocol, and spectacle dominate, leaving little room for spontaneous joy. Later, the king listens as tales of ancient Rome, knightly romances, and theological treatises are read aloud. Questions are asked occasionally, not always expecting answers. Knowledge, power, and curiosity intertwine with duty. Even leisure is an extension of rule, reinforcing hierarchy. Books are not just entertainment. They are instruments of authority and education. Music follows reading, a ritual to fill the silence. Minstrels play under his watchful eye. One laughs because expected, the other because it might be the only joy of the week. In the gilded hall, melody and routine are inseparable. Leisure is curated, artful, constant, yet often hollow. The king experiences pleasure as a performance, not as necessity. You wake hungry again. Sleep has dulled the edge, but the stone in your gut remains. Yesterday's pottage hangs thick in the pot, brown like mud, gluey, bits of barley, turnip, wilted leaf. The eldest child gets a larger share, ungrateful, eating quietly. Hunger is constant. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Each meal is a concession, not choice. Survival dictates every bite. Bread is next, if there is any. Black, dense, hard as stone. Rye and barley, grains that thrive in poor soil. Flour scarce, oven shared, and this loaf is all you have. Children eat like dogs, thankful for nothing. Bread is sustenance, ritual, and survival, a reminder that luxury is a foreign word. The royal hunt concludes with a feast. Boar roasted whole, game birds dressed in their own feathers, wine flowing freely. This is abundance, ritualized, public, divine. Each bite and gesture reinforces power and status. Survival is irrelevant. Display and theater are everything. Luxury is as much a weapon as a blessing. A troupe from a distant city performs. Themes are familiar: honor, betrayal, God. The king applauds, though he barely follows the plot. Laughter, approval, and attention are acquired. Even amusement is structured, constrained, a tool for maintaining hierarchy. Performance here is survival for the actors, ritual for the audience. You ladle from the pot into bowls. Bits of barley, turnip, leaves. The eldest child eats first, silently, hungrily. There is no debate, no choice. Each bite is a negotiation with survival. Bread and pottage, day after day, season after season. Hunger is companion, never far, a stone in the gut that shapes every thought and action. One dances in the dirt, barefoot, to the rhythm of a neighbor slapping a barrel. The other moves in gilded halls, perfumed strings and harps providing rhythm. One sings to forget hunger. The other listens to singers to fill silence. One awaits a single feast day. The other feasts every day, yet longs for novelty. Both seek the same thing, a momentary escape from what they are, a brief forgetting of life's relentless demands. Hunger, boredom, and desire bind them in ways that wealth and status cannot undo. The flour is mixed with water and salt if you have it, then baked into rounds or flat cakes in communal oven. If you remembered your place in line, stone ground grit wears your teeth down year by year. One tooth is starting to crack, but you chew anyway. The ale is weak, more like fermented grain tea, but safe. The well went bad last month. Meat is rare, maybe once a month. Roots boil for flavor. Rabbits vanish unmentioned. Hunger is constant, tempered only by what scraps the season provides. Chickens don't lay in winter. Pigs are gone. Cheese is summer luxury. Milk turns too quickly now. Bread is daily. Ale is constant. Holy days offer memory, not abundance. Feast days, weddings, saints' days, they leave marks in the mind more than the belly. Roasted goose, baked apples with honey, onions and bread, a fleeting warmth in the cold, remembered for years. You trade when you can, barter roots for salted fish, leeks for butter. Each coin, each morsel, is a small victory. Spices are a rumor. Pepper is for princes. You season with what grows in your garden. Thyme, mustard leaf, horseradish root. Salt appears when you can afford it, more often not. Your wife stirs, strains, kneads, lifts steaming pots until her hands are cracked and red. The eldest daughter scrapes, tends fire, helping where she can. Meals are work, not pleasure. You eat silently, give thanks, then return to labor. Survival leaves no room for ceremony. The king eats when the court allows, serve with ceremony. Meals are more than nourishment, they are spectacle. Each loaf, each wine cup, each morsel of meat signals power and wealth. The king tastes first. Servants hover, ready to adjust or remove any dish. Poison is a real threat. Protocol is a shield. Luxury is both comfort and armor. Where the peasant labors for sustenance, the king performs for authority. You rise, hands red from winter cold, stomach half-filled, and resume the day. Fields demand attention. Animals need feeding. Firewood must be gathered. Hunger persists, yet labor cannot pause. The work is endless. You have no choice, only obligation. Each step across frozen ground, Each swing of axe or spade is dictated by survival, not ambition. Your life is measured in tasks, not hours. The king moves to council and correspondence. Nobles petition. Clerks report. Messengers bring news from borders. Each decision, each signature is layered with expectation, politics, and performance. Authority is measured in attention and compliance. While the peasant executes labor for survival, the king orchestrates labor for spectacle and order, an endless cycle of protocol and oversight. Night arrives without relief. The fire dims. Children sleep on straw, huddle for warmth. You sit exhausted, hands raw from labor. There is no luxury of leisure, only the slow reprieve of night. Outside, frost bites, and the world remains indifferent. Inside, work continues in smaller, quieter ways, tending animals, patching garments, mending tools, preparing for another day. The king strolls through curated gardens, ornamental fountains gurgling, statues glinting in golden light. A noble opponent plays chess, a distant minstrel hums. Every movement is measured, every glance observed. Leisure for royalty is constant, choreographed, and exercise of authority. While the peasant labors, the king moves, watched and unrestrained, yet never free of obligation. One scrapes the last grains from a pot, the other lifts a goblet of wine. Hunger for one, abundance of the other, yet both share the same fragile flesh. Both feel cold, tired, and mortal. Blood, disease, and decay pay no heed to rank. Status is a veneer. Vulnerability is universal. Mortality binds peasant and king alike. Night falls. One family huddles for warmth. Bodies cramped, hunger still lingering. The other lies in silk sheets, servants tending, scented water and oil ready. One sleeps to survive, the other to rest from performance. Hunger and luxury, toil and spectacle, scarcity and abundance. They separate lives, yet neither escapes the weight of existence. The sun will rise again and the cycle will continue, each man confined by the world he inhabits, one by labor, one by expectation, both by mortality. They are theater. The feast is a statement, a performance of monarchy itself. The king eats not from hunger, but to display power, taste, and divine favor. Vast kitchens beneath the castle coordinate the supply. Game, fish, vegetables, spices, bread, and wine. Departments exist for each task. Master cooks, assistants, pastry makers, poulterers, sauce chefs, spit turners, butterers, cupbearers, and food tasters work in precise harmony. Many serve a lifetime. Apprentices learn craft and hierarchy simultaneously. Bread arrives first. Soft white manchet, wheat grown on royal estates, sifted through fine cloth. Warm, sliced in by a specialist who handles a knife as a knight might a sword. Each bite is an emblem of wealth. Wooden bowls are forbidden. Only silver or gilded ceramic dishes touch the king's food. Goblets of etched glass or ornate metal, sometimes studded with stones, hold wine from Aquitaine, Cyprus, Burgundy, imported at immense cost. Meats follow: spit-roasted balls, larded hams, herb venison, wild birds simmered in wine and cloves, pies with layered fillings, pigeon, pear dates, each crust sealed and stamped with the royal crest. The hall smells of spice: nutmeg, ginger, cinnamon, saffron. Spice costs more than gold. The king tastes, but does not devour. Physicians observe, monitoring the balance of humors: hot, cold, wet, dry. Fish is constant, even on meat days. Salted sturgeon, trout garnished with violets, eels and almond milk. On fast days, cooks innovate: whale, beaver tail, frogs, each considered fish by decree. A theologian once declared barnacle geese born of driftwood to be lawful for consumption. Every course is recorded, every taste, every reaction chronicled. The king may be bled or fast before meals, following regimen Sonnet is. Feasts extend hours, each course ended with an entra, a miniature theater of food. Pastry castles, flaming peacocks, pies releasing live birds into the hall. The king tastes a few bites. He is not eating to satisfy hunger. He is demonstrating authority. Guests observe him. They wait, silent, mirroring his actions, noting approval or displeasure, knowing their own meals are lesser reflections of his. Guests watch the king eat first. They study his face. Did he enjoy the quail? Was the sauce too sharp? Should they compliment the chef? Every gesture matters. Physicians monitor consumption. Each choice is weighed. Roast beef is hot and dry. Apples cold and moist. Balance maintains health, protects mind. The king eats sparingly, aware of the power encoded in every bite. Afterward, attendants washes hands in rose water. Perfume cloths are offered. A minstrel plays. Even hygiene is ceremonial. Cleanliness signifies authority, taste, and godliness. The king is protected from disease, pampered, observed at all times. The peasant scrapes mud from heels with a stick. The king scrapes dirt from nails with ivory. Mortality is equal, but presentation is everything. The feast is an exercise in observation. Every move watched. The king's pleasure, displeasure, hesitation, approval, all recorded. Courtiers learn his moods. Chefs adjust recipes. Guests calibrate words. A kingdom is maintained through ritual as much as force. Every morsel is a performance. Every gesture communicates hierarchy. At last, the king waves his hand. The feast concludes. Tables are cleared with quiet precision. Candles flicker. Servants straighten, ready for the next task. Music may follow, letters read, guests leave or linger. The theater of abundance ends. The king has eaten little, yet shown everything. Wealth, power, refinement. Control is maintained through display, not necessity. One man scraped for sustenance, the other for spectacle. Hunger and abundance, survival and ceremony, labor and performance. They are worlds apart, yet both share the same fragile body, vulnerable to illness, age, and death. One day ends in exhaustion, the other in orchestrated satisfaction. Both are human, yet only one has the luxury of choice. The feast is over, but the contrast endures. A servant recites a tally of expenses: wine, spice, game, bread, wages for cooks and cupbearers. The king nods. The meal is over, performance complete. Meanwhile, the peasant eats scraps, roots, and salt. One prays for enough. The other prays that the quail is not overdone. Both rely on hands other than their own, one on land, one on men. One rests after display. The other rises to labor again. Wool or velvet, hut or hall, all must eat. All depend on those who grow, gather, kill, and cook. The difference lies in choice. You wake with the name of a saint on your lips. Saint Capat, Saint Isidore, the one your wife prays to for births, the neighbor's healing saint. They blur together. Their wooden or stone images show tired faces, bent fingers, flattened eyes. You feel the same. Religion is not an intellectual pursuit. It is a rhythm of life. Cross yourself before eating. Whisper prayers at night. You know the Lord's Prayer, the Creed, the calendar of feast days. Latin rises and falls around you, incomprehensible but authoritative. The church is cold, always. Stone walls, no fire, a rough altar, the echo of old prayers. You sit, kneel, stand, mumble, repeat, follow rhythm without understanding all words. Sundays are for church. Missing it brings attention. Feast days dictate kneeling, fasting, prayer. Fridays bring no meat. Lent brings less of everything. Advent is for waiting. Easter is for singing. Christmas is for huddling near the fire. The rhythm of religion shapes your labor, your meals, your life. The priest is not poor. He has servants, a fat goose, shoes without holes. He has never tilled soil, yet speaks of sin with certainty. He buries the dead, blesses fields, remembers names. When a child falls sick or a cow refuses milk, you seek meaning, punishment, sin, someone to blame. Herbs above doors, candles lit, coins left at the chapel. Small acts for safety, for hope, for divine favor. You mutter to St. Bridget, St. Blaise, St. Jude. You don't know which heals fever. You try them all. Stories warn the people who stopped attending Mass. They vanished, starved, or burned in the night. You don't test these tales. You obey, ritual by ritual, prayer by prayer, weaving faith into daily survival. Religion is not theory. It is a map for endurance in a world of frost, hunger, and toil. Each prayer is a thread in the fabric of survival. Before work, before meals, before sleep, you acknowledge forces beyond comprehension. The saints, God, fate, names matter little. Action matters. Crossing yourself, kneeling, leaving a coin. Each act reinforces rhythm, ritual, a structure to a life otherwise dictated by hardship. The calendar dictates life. Feast days, saints' days, holy days. Most are more kneeling than feasting. Fridays forbid meat. Lent demands abstinence. Advent is waiting. Easter is song. Christmas is warmth by the hearth. Each observance reminds you of limits and obligations. Church structures life like the frost structures the soil, predictable, persistent, unavoidable. Faith is a series of actions, not reflections. You leave coins at the chapel, light candles, place herbs. Each small gesture reinforces survival. You obey, not understanding fully, but believing action offers protection. Religion interweaves with work, with food, with toil. Prayer is a tool, a habit, a shield. Saints are companions, silent yet present. Their painted eyes follow, their carved fingers bend in eternal blessing. You don't choose which to pray to, you invoke them all. Saint Cathbot, Saint Isidore, Saint Bridget. Names blend with life itself. They mark the rhythm. Before food, after work, during sickness, at birth, at death. You live inside religion as you live inside mud and cold. Religion is routine, woven into every act. Eating, sleeping, laboring, surviving. Prayer, cross, candle, herb. It is habit and hope. You rise, perform, endure, repeat. Ritual orders chaos. Like the frost on the fields, like the ale in your cup. It is part of the world you inhabit. Survival and faith are inseparable. The saints watch, silent but constant. You live, always under their gaze, always under the rhythm they impose. Superstition isn't separate from faith. It's what the priest doesn't talk about. Your wife hangs charms over cradle. Your neighbor buries nails in the corner of his field. You carry a bone in your pouch, just in case. Seasons change with the saints. Michaelmas brings a harvest. Candlemas starts the sowing. Midsummer's Eve is fire and fear. Spirits walk, old magic stirs. You've jumped fires with bare feet, thrown salt into ashes, whispered words you never speak aloud. These acts are belief, shaping fear into ritual, keeping despair at bay. There's a woman outside the village, an herbalist or a witch, some say. You went to her once when the baby was sick. She gave you dried nettles and instructions, burned them while singing. You obeyed. The fever broke. Coincidence? You'll never know. Belief is what keeps you sane, what gives shape to fear. Without it, there is only cold, hunger, death. So you follow ritual, superstition, prayer, always believing, even when doubting. The king prays too, but his prayers are written by others. He kneels on cushions, holds a psalter illuminated in gold and crimson. Latin flows from memory. Bow, pause, looks solemn. His faith is intertwined with rule. Divine right sanctions his authority. Doubt the king, and you doubt heaven. His faith structures his rule. His rule enforces faith. Monarchs in medieval Europe ruled by divine right. Bishops, chaplains, archbishops advise him on church lands, tithes, doctrine. He funds monasteries, orders masses for ancestors, appoints clerics, consults Rome. Religion is institution and partner, rival and mirror of power. His observances are ceremonial. Easter, Christmas, Corpus Christi. Incense curls, chants echo, gifts offered to shrines. Faith enforces order, legitimizes authority, threatens excommunication. The king believes because the system depends on it. Divine order, moral duty, eternal reward. Yet he fears what lies outside liturgy. Omens, eclipses, comets, strange births, prophecy, dreams, the mutterings of madmen, relics under his cloak. A saint's tooth, a splinter from the true cross. Armor bears a cross etched inside the breastplate. Faith, ritual, superstition, all are intertwined, protecting mind and body, structuring a world of uncertainty. Faith and superstition mark time. Candlemas begins the sowing. Midsummer night brings fire and fear. Saints guide planting, harvest, fertility. Rituals anchor survival. Herbs, charmed candles, bones, nets. Each small act of protection. You obey to endure. Each season is a map, each saint a guide. Each superstition a lifeline. You tie herbs above doors, light candles, leave coins at chapels. Prayer and superstition are inseparable. Each act is a ritual for survival. Fear becomes shape. Danger becomes pattern. Through repeated gestures, you endure cold, hunger, labor, disease. Faith is habit, shield, and rhythm. For the king, religion structures power. Ceremonial observances mark Easter, Christmas, Corpus Christi. Clergy surround him. Incense rises. Gold and crimson light falls across marble floors. Every movement, every word, every gesture is deliberate, reinforcing authority and divine right. Faith is a tool as much as belief. Monarch and clergy negotiate doctrine, lands, tithes. Religion is policy, law, and spectacle. Faith is both personal and political. The king acts as agent and observer, shaping belief, enforcing ritual, maintaining order. Ceremony enforces authority, just as superstition maintains survival for the peasant. Both worlds rely on ritual, protection, faith. One acts quietly in mud and cold, guided by fear and survival. The other performs in gold and marble, guided by authority and order. Superstition and ceremony intertwine. Belief shapes both lives, though differently. One survives by following unseen rules. The other rules by enforcing visible ones. Both kneel, both hope, both fear, both live under the gaze of forces larger than themselves. He believes it protects him. Before battle, he fasts. He hears Mass, takes communion. Advisors tell him which days to march and which to wait. Horoscopes dictate movement. Rituals shape strategy. He has seen what desperation looks like. Villagers fogging themselves in streets, bones of saints carried through mud. He rules the body of the realm. The church claims the soul, faith and power entwined. Rituals are performed to secure favor, avert disaster, to feel control in a world that often slips beyond it. When plague strikes, he commands masses, public prayers, processions. Gates close, courtiers retreat to countryside. Thousands of names are read aloud night after night. He witnesses devotion, desperation, grief. People beg, cry, lift hands to heaven. He observes, directs, trusts in the power of ritual. Faith is visible, structured, enforceable. And he believes, but not fully. Authority and devotion are intertwined, each supporting the other. The peasant whispers a desperate prayer. The king signs a decree over a crucifix. One lights a candle for luck, the other funds a cathedral. One is told suffering brings salvation, the other that power confirms holiness. Both fear the silence after death. Both kneel, separated by wealth, by ritual, by circumstance, but praying to the same God, hoping to be heard. Belief threads through both lives, different in form, identical in need. You wake before the light, stiff, hungry, joints cracking. You reach for the same coarse tunic worn yesterday, the day before. You are not free, though not enslaved in name. You are a serf bound to the land. The Lord owns the ground beneath your feet. You borrow it one furrow at a time. The rhythm of labor defines existence. Everyday chores, obligations, chores, never-ending. Labor dictates the body, shapes the hours, defines the self. Spring is planting, endless hours hunched over soil, pushing seeds into earth, still clinging to winter's chill. Summer is harvest, sweat clinging to tunic, fingers blistering on barley and hay. Autumn rushes with preservation, salting meat, storing apples, bottling beer. Winter is endurance. Cold seeps through thatch into bones. Bread is dense barley flecked with grit. Life is rhythm of toil, dictated by season, by lore, by survival. Daily labor is predictable. Muck stalls collect firewood, repair fences flattened by storms. Tomorrow, thresh grain, deliver ale, tend sheep. Work does not rotate with fairness, only with need. Each task exhausts body, every day a contest with cold, hunger, and fatigue. Hands are raw, joints stiff, bones ache, yet you rise. Each morning a continuation, each evening a return to the same rhythm. Most days you eat bread, not white loaves, but dense barley bread, flecked with grit. Bits of pottage, turnips, wilted leaves. Hunger sits like stone. Share the best portion with the eldest child. Ale is weak, safe. Meat is rare, hunting forbidden. The day begins and ends with labor, sustenance minimal. Meals are survival, ritual repetition. Meals are work. Pottage thick barley, oats, beans, peas, scraps of fatback if lucky. Herbs you grow yourself. Thyme, mustard leaf, horseradish. Salt if available. Eggs, cheese, rabbits, seasonal luck. Bartering is essential. The well is unreliable. Hunger is constant, managed, subdued by ritual and sharing. Every bite is survival. Every mouthful is strategy for endurance. For the king, meals are theater. Silver dishes, imported spices, roast peacock, pies with live birds. Taste is secondary. Ceremony, hierarchy, observation, display. These dominate the table. Physicians monitor intake. Every movement signals balance of humors, strength of mind, divine favor. He eats, observes, performs. The spectacle demonstrates power, culture, control. One eats for survival, the other for display. One prays for enough, the other ensures abundance. Both rely on others. Laborers grow, gather, cook. One works with hands, dirt, sweat, the other with courtiers, chefs, servants. Hunger shapes one life, ritual shapes the other. Both depend on networks they cannot fully control. Both are bound to land, to title, to rhythm. Both must eat, each bite steeped in consequence. Pottage if you're lucky, a stew of whatever you manage to find or grow. Leeks, turnips, beans, a strip of bacon if blessed. Ale instead of water, because water might kill you. Tools are scarce. A wooden plow with a cracked handle, a twine-bound hoe, a cart with one good wheel. If something breaks, you fix it. Or you make do anyway. Every day is labor. You owe core of labor to the Lord, 2 to 5 days a week. His land comes first. Your own plot waits, often undernourished. Protest risks punishment. Falter, and you risk starvation. Taxes take 1/10 of everything. Nothing is free. You mend fences, repair roads, harvest the Lord's grain. Only if daylight allows do you tend your own soil. Labor is endless. Every swing of the axe, every shovel of manure, a transaction. Every hour worked is for someone else. Yet you persist. Each line furrowed, each roof patched, each coop built is a rare claim to ownership in a life otherwise borrowed. Work defines you. Survival shapes every thought. Your body is the currency of your existence. Your wife labors equally hard. Spinning, baking, cleaning, tending animals, nursing children, mending clothes. The children help as soon as they can lift a bucket or shoe a goose. There is no rest for anyone. Desire, choice, leisure, luxuries unknown. Work is a shared rhythm. Survival a shared burden. Yet moments of quiet pride appear. A furrow straight, a roof patched, eggs gather with children's laughter. Joy exists in function, small and fleeting, but it is yours. The king wakes surrounded by functionaries. Chamberlain, squire, confessor, groom of the stool. Every movement observed. Every word carries weight. Expected to embody divine order. The cornerstone of the realm, stitched together by loyalty and law. The household is bureaucracy. Treasurers counting coin. Stewards managing land. Scribes tracking correspondence. He listens as problems are listed. Border disputes, unpaid taxes, rebellious barons, failing harvests. His authority demands presence, judgment, decisiveness. The king's day begins with councils. Reports, petitions, disputes. Each problem requires judgment. Land must be managed, revenue ensured, loyalty enforced. Decisions ripple across villages, forests, rivers, affecting lives you may never see. Power is exercised through delegation, counsel, record. Work for the king is not muscle and sweat, but calculation, negotiation, ceremony. His labor is invisible, yet omnipresent. Your body is worn. Cold bites through clothing. Firewood must be gathered, water carried, animals fed, roofs patched. Labor is relentless. Seasons dictate toil. Planting, harvesting, preservation, endurance. Hunger and fatigue settle in bones. Every day is negotiation with survival. Every choice is mediated by necessity. There is no respite, only brief pauses between demands. Your hands bear the evidence of labor. Your back carries its history. Your labor serves first the Lord, then yourself if time allows. The land defines you, ownership borrowed, existence contingent, protest is perilous. Faltering risks punishment, starvation, taxes and dues exacted by Lord, and church consume labor before hunger is sated. Yet small victories exist. A straight furrow, a stable roof, eggs collected, ownership, pride, joy, measured in minutes, not wealth. The king signs, decrees issued, the realm shaped by his word. Each decision carries consequence. Fines, justice, appointments, war. Every action is performance, a signal to allies and enemies alike. Labor is mental, ceremonial, political. Power requires constant engagement. Authority is exercised by decision, observation, and ritual. Though hands are uncalloused, effort is exerted across every corner of his domain. You labor to survive. The king labored to display authority. One in mud, one in marble. One sweat, one ceremony. Both depend on others. You on land, seed, muscle. He on men, coin, obedience. Both are bound, neither free. One builds to feed a family. The other to consolidate order, inspire loyalty. Duty defines a rhythm of both lives. Work persists as both curse and necessity. Both eat, both depend on hands not their own. One labors for survival, the other for display. One worries about hunger, the other about ceremony. Both are bound to routines shaped by systems beyond their control. One bends to soil, the other to counsel. Yet both navigate the same world of labor, obligation, and endurance. Life is work, whether it's visible or ceremonial. The day closes, and both sleep, body spent, roles unbroken. He must decide. His decision becomes law. Hours are spent in court. Ceremonial nights seeking titles. Nobles pledging loyalty in judicial cases. Land disputes. Accusations of treason. Marriage quarrels. His presence alone influences outcomes. One raised eyebrow, a pause, a nod. These sway sentences more than words. Authority is visible, immediate. The weight of justice and the perception of power are inseparable. Kings are diplomats. Alliances built on bloodlines, not parchment. One daughter to seal peace with Aragon, a nephew to a distant duchess. Marriage is chess. Each move secures loyalty, peace, or advantage. The king balances relationships between nobles, vassals, and foreign powers. Diplomacy is both subtle and public, private and performative. Mistakes ripple far beyond the chamber. He governs warfare. In peace, he trains, reviews armories, funds fortifications, approves levy rosters. In war, he commands directly or delegates to trusted generals. Some kings ride to battle themselves. Some die there. Every decision, where send troops, which fortress to fortify, shapes survival, victory, and loss. Strategy is labor, invisible yet deadly in consequence. His signature controls currency, minting silver, debasing coins. Each decree ripples through trade. Markets, merchants, peasants feel the change before they see it. Decisions about wealth are decisions about loyalty. Economic labor is mental, systemic, invisible, but critical. One misstep leads to unrest. One miscalculation stars a province. Even feasts are work. Sitting at the center, radiant with wealth, a living symbol. Food is inspected, wine poured by protocol. Every bite communicates virtue or indulgence. Too much, gluttony, too little, ingratitude. Meals are performance, authority enacted silently. The king eats, but he does not simply eat. He demonstrates. He meets with bishops, abbots, and papal envoys. Churches ally and rival. Funding monasteries strengthens loyalty. Ignoring Rome invites risk. Excommunication can topple a throne. Religion is governance, belief inseparable from politics. Each decision navigates faith, diplomacy, and authority. In quiet hours, he reads or listens to scribes. Law, chronicles, theology. Ignorance is weakness. Knowledge is labor. Mental exertion to maintain authority, anticipate threats, and understand obligations. A king must master war, diplomacy, economy, and faith. Every page, a task. Every lesson, an act of governance. Visibility is labor. The king must be seen, observed, recognized as order incarnate. Riding, hunting, judging, dining, all performances. Even sleep is guarded. Dreams are not fully his own. Work is measured by perception, as much as action. Authority requires constant presence. Peasant hands are calloused from earth. Kings from decisions. One sweats in the fields, the other in the throne room. One's misstep risks hunger, the other rebellion. Both are watched, both accountable. Labor wears the body differently, but neither escapes it. Duty, obligation, consequence, all are equal weights in different forms. Both bear risk. The peasant risks starvation, disease, frost. The king risks rebellion, bankruptcy, war. Both are bound by duty to forces larger than themselves. One shapes survival with toil, the other with law and command. Labor may look different, sweat may fall differently, but responsibility is universal. Both rise before dawn and sleep under its shadow, bound by worlds they cannot escape, one by the steward, the other by his subjects. Both are punished, the peasant by weather, the king by politics. You feel the strain before anyone else does. Breath shortens, hands shake lifting buckets. You smile when the children obey, but hate needing help. Once strong, now bound by age, toil, and the inevitability of mortality. There is no doctor. The midwife offers bitter root, the healer nettle broth. The priest asks if you are ready to confess. You are, not from guilt, but because it is what must be done. Faith, care, and ritual converge in the quiet acknowledgement of life's end. Death is part life. Children die often, women in childbirth. Illness and accidents do not wait. You try to leave lessons, a joke, a memory. You think of fences unfinished, tools never owned, crops others will harvest, your life distilled into acts of labor, care, and endurance. No funeral procession, no elaborate tombstone, buried behind the church. Priests muttering Latin words you do not understand. What remains? A roof patched, a rake mended, children who know work and song. Legacy is the world you shaped, one rock, one bale of hay at a time. A king dying is a dangerous thing. It unsettles the court. Advisors whisper, nobles wait for cues. Physicians adjust leeches and tonics. Every breath, every motion is observed. Authority falters not with force, but with absence. Visibility is labor until the very end. Rumors spread before confirmation. Courtiers speculate, alliances shift, rivalries awaken. The death of a king creates a vacuum. Power must be managed even in absence. Politics is a form of labor as relentless as any harvest. Succession is labor in motion. A new king must be prepared to embody authority instantly. Every gesture, every word is monitored. Continuity is maintained through ritual, training, and observation. The kingdom cannot pause. The machinery of rule must continue. Both lives conclude with ritual, though unequal in display. One marked by survival and humility, the other by ceremony and power. Yet both leave voids, one in the soil, the other in the machinery of rule. Mortality unites them, though society treats them differently. The peasant leaves a tangible legacy. Fields, homes, children trained in work and care. He may vanish from records, but the physical world bears his mark. Each stone, each bale, each harvest carries memory of his labor. His life survives quietly in the enduring rhythm of daily toil. The king leaves legacy in governance, law, alliances, and lineage. His presence fades, but the system endures. Offices remain, decrees persist, and the machinery of monarchy continues. Unlike the peasant, memory is formal, documented, celebrated. Yet both lives ripple outward, one through labor, one through law. Both shape the world they inhabit, each in their own way. His body is failing, but protocol does not. The king's death is ritualized. Confession, anointing, prayers, scribes recording his last words. Every gesture, every breath is watched. Divine dignity is preserved until the final moment. Sons, wives, bishops, and courtiers gather. The realm holds its breath. Whether mourned or endured, the king is treated as a vessel of divinity. Fanfares, prayers, and ritual mark his final passage. The news is proclaimed with ceremony. Heralds cry the king's name. Nobles are summoned. The royal seal is broken. The death of a monarch reverberates across the realm. His corpse is prepared with care, washing, dressing, anointing, sometimes embalming. Coins, relics, even jewels accompany him. A death mask may be made. Ceremony transforms mortality into spectacle. Procession moves through city streets. Hundreds attend, priests, nobles, paid mourners. The coffin is lowered into the royal crypt, surrounded by ancestors in stone. Every detail conveys authority, lineage, and ritualized respect. The king rests in stone or lead, sometimes with sword or crown. His will names heirs. The kingdom does not pause. Wars and rivalries stir. The machinery of monarchy continues. The peasant lies beneath earth and stone. No fanfare, no heralds. Family and neighbors bear witness. Labor and endurance mark his legacy. Life continues through those he leaves behind. One rests in a crypt, the other under a ditch. Time forgets them both. The world turns without them. Grass grows over graves. Language shifts. Stories blur. Yet each has left a mark. One in law and monument, the other in labor and memory. Legacy is the echo of labor. Bread baked, walls built, laws passed, songs remembered. All things fade, yet some endure. Work, memory, and quiet acts ripple through generations. The peasant and the king crumble to dust. The only difference is how long it takes the wind to carry their names away. Time moves on. Work and memory remain. Stories, laws, labor, and echoes, these endure even as all else fades.